Zimbabwe's hospitals turn away patients as the doctors' strike rolls into its 6th week. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, tensions rise in Goma as citizens await election results in the midst of an internet and text message blackout. And a Burundian entrepreneur develops a line of cosmetics to prevent malaria. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. Tonight we begin with the debilitating doctor strike ongoing in Zimbabwe. Hospitals in Zimbabwe are turning away patients as the work stoppage by physicians enters its 6th week. There appears to be no end in sight as the government of President Emmerson Mnangagwa says it cannot meet the doctors' demands. Columbus Mavunga reports from Harare.
Parenyatwa Group of Hospitals, Zimbabwe's largest treatment center, is largely empty as the doctor's strike drags on. 69-year-old Kasirina Chimveka has a lung infection. She was discharged in mid-December and told to return on Monday so that her ailing lung could be removed. But this won't happen because of the doctor's strike. Her daughter Margaret Chikoti says the family paid over $400 for her treatment, but only nurses are tending to her.
We have no idea what is really happening to her since December 13th. All we see is her discharging some blood-stained, stinking fluids through a hole under her right breast. What is happening inside her body? Is it getting worse? We just give her painkillers and use ointment to clean her wound. We hope that the negotiations bear fruit and the doctors return to work.
Doctors vowed to remain on strike until their grievances have been addressed. They are demanding that the government equip hospitals with modern technology, medicines, and protective clothing for doctors. They also want to be paid in US dollars instead of Zimbabwe's depreciating currency, known as bond notes. Marambire Sinaravo Jongwe is the Zimbabwe Hospital Doctors Association Vice President.
We are very understanding people. We are very lenient to our government. So we are not sure they are just trying to ignore us, neglecting. They are very insincere to doctors. But yet we are serving the public. We are serving the general of Zimbabwe. For our patients, we care, and the government doesn't care.
The government, meanwhile, has said it is not in a position to pay doctors or any civil servants in US dollars. Officials did say they have imported medicines and are now stocking hospitals. But with doctors still on strike, that news might not be enough to help patients like Kasirina Zveka. Columbus Mavunga for VOA News, Harare.
Now, 2 trains collided early Tuesday in the South African capital Pretoria, killing at least 3 people and injuring dozens. Zisipo Sikweyiya has the latest.
This was the extent of the damage after 2 trains collided in the South African capital Pretoria on Tuesday. A number of people died and around 300 were injured, 82 of them seriously. The emergency services say the actual death toll could rise as they search under the wreckage. The crash happened at 9:30 a.m. at Mountain View train station, where a packed passenger train careered into a stationary train. An investigation into the official cause is ongoing. It's the latest in a series of train accidents in South Africa. In October, 320 people were injured in a similar incident when a stationary train was hit by a packed one traveling from Johannesburg to Pretoria.
Zisipo Sikweyiya of Reuters news agency with that report. Also in South Africa, lawyers for former Mozambican Finance Minister Manuel Chang argued on Tuesday that his detention in Johannesburg over $2 billion of fraudulent loans is illegal and that he should be released. Chang has been held in South Africa since December 29th as part of a U.S. case that has seen arrests in London and New York. Chang oversaw Mozambique's finances when it failed to disclose government guarantees for $2 billion in international borrowing by state-owned firms. For more on the Emmanuel Chang case, VOA's Anita Powell joins me live via Skype from Johannesburg. Good evening, Anita.
Hi, Vincent.
Now, Chang's lawyers have told the court that his arrest and subsequent detention is illegal, is unlawful. What is the prosecution, or rather the prosecution, saying in defense of holding him?
So the prosecution cited the U.S. indictment that was issued last week by the District Court of the Eastern District in New York. They say that he stands accused of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to launder money, and conspiracy to commit securities fraud. So they say that is ample justification for his arrest on this U.S. warrant. What the defense is saying is just proper procedures weren't followed. They're arguing based on a technicality. They're saying basically that the extradition request was not received before they arrested him. Therefore, it was not a valid arrest, which is, I think the lawyers will all argue about it more tomorrow, but that's an important legal technicality, but it is a technicality.
Now, we know that Mr. Chang was the finance minister of Mozambique when the government failed to disclose these guarantees for $12 billion in international borrowing by the state, or other state-owned firms. Why does the U.S. want this gentleman to be brought here to the United States?
Well, some analysts are saying this is kind of the end of the rope for this investigation. First, Mozambique investigated with an outside firm, Kroll, who came in to investigate, and they found nothing. Then the UK investigated because some of these European banks had links to the UK. Now the District Court in the US has come into it because they say one of the financial institutions involved had a responsibility, a legal requirement to report to the Securities and Exchange Commission. And so basically what happened is by conducting these fraudulent loans and by conducting these fraudulent activities, what these bankers and ministers did was defraud and mislead American investors.
Mm-hmm. Now, Mozambique's Attorney General's office also says it has indicted 18 citizens, including Mr. Chang himself, as part of its own investigation. They did this on Monday. Now, why on Monday? Was there an ongoing investigation, or was this prompted by the arrest of Mr. Chang in South Africa?
You're asking a lot of the same questions that Mozambicans are asking today. Why only now, when we knew about these fraudulent loans or these illegal loans in the year 2016? Why is the government only now doing something and saying something for the first time about this incident? And that is an interesting question. There are, of course, a lot of theories, a lot of politics involved, but the fact is they have issued indictments for 18 people yesterday, so this is moving forward.
Well, we'll monitor this, and Anita will definitely call on you to give us some more updates in the coming days. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's Anita Powell reporting live via Skype from Johannesburg in South Africa. Now, residents in the Democratic Republic of Congo still are without access to the internet and text message services. Government officials cut the connections across the country following the December 30th presidential election, saying they wanted to avoid public chaos after false voting results started circulating on social media. Francesca Lino has more.
The internet blackout in the Democratic Republic of Congo has been in place for over a week now. The government cut internet connections and SMS services after the presidential election last Sunday. They say in order to prevent fictitious results from circulating on social media. The signal for Radio France Internationale, one of the most popular news sources in Congo, was also shut down, and their main correspondent had his accreditation taken away after he aired unofficial results from the opposition. But with no official outcome yet, there's growing frustration.
The government's decision is unjustifiable. Apart from blocking us from doing the scientific research that we need to do, we also have family abroad. We used to communicate with our relatives via WhatsApp and Facebook, but without an internet connection, we're just blocked. It's a decision that cannot be justified from a legal point of view.
The election itself was long delayed, and now the results are too. President Joseph Kabila, whose official mandate ended 2 years ago, was supposed to see his successor announced on Sunday. But on Saturday, the Election Commission had only received 47% of the vote tally sheets. Further delays risk sparking violence, like that seen after the 2006 and 2011 elections. Worried about history repeating itself, the United Nations Security Council met on Friday to discuss how to react.
Well, that was Francesca Lina of Reuters with that report. We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our show live on Facebook, so check us out and share our show with your friends. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince McCory. Still ahead on Africa 54. Look good, feel good, tackling malaria with cosmetics. But first, a look at Tuesday's headlines.
Composé d'une dizaine de militaires, conduits par le lieutenant.
Well, it's time for our health report, and joining us now is Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Mudu with new information on the link between sugary drinks and kidney disease. Lino.
Thank you, Vincent. Well, get this. People who drink lots of sugar-sweetened soda and fruit juices may be more likely to develop chronic kidney disease than those who don't, according to a U.S. study published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology. The study, led by the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, examined survey data on beverage consumption among over 3,000 men and women who were 50 years old on average and didn't have kidney disease. After accounting for factors such that can contribute to kidney damage, such as smoking, obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, and inactivity, they found that drinking mainly sodas and sweetened fruit drinks was associated with a 61% higher risk of kidney disease. Taken on its own, soda was associated with a 9% greater risk of kidney disease. Higher intakes of beer was also associated with greater odds of kidney disease. The researchers didn't know what brand of beverages people consumed and the exact sugar and calorie content. They say high sugar of any kind can lead to weight gain, insulin resistance, and elevated blood pressure. These factors then put stress on the kidney and can accelerate loss of kidney function over time. The World Health Organization says obesity rates are rapidly increasing in most parts of the world, including Africa. Observers say one of the most common New Year's resolutions is diet and weight loss for both women and men. In America alone, approximately 45 million Americans go on diet each year and spend an estimated $33 billion on weight loss products. Researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles say 80% of dieters will gain back the weight within 2 years. Health experts say dieting should address more than just weight loss to be more effective and sustainable. Joining us from New York to tell us more about diet and weight loss is health and wellness expert Felicia Stoller. She is a registered dietitian, nutritionist, expert consultant in disease prevention, wellness, and healthful living, and author of the book Living Skinny in Fat Genes. Felicia, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Listen,
great to be here.
80% of dieters will gain the weight back in 2 years. That's discouraging. Does it mean that dieting is not really a way to lose weight?
Well, you know, what happens with most of these diets that people do is that they're not sustainable. So they're so extreme, they leave out whole food groups, and then what happens is that they rebound and they go back to their old ways. So that is really, you know, the biggest challenge that people have. And, you know, sometimes people are just looking at weight loss, but I like to think about other long-term health outcomes when we're looking at, you're just talking about diseases, and so many diseases are prevented through, you know, better eating habits and exercise.
So what would be your suggestions in terms of losing weight? If someone wants to lose weight within 6 months, for example, because sometimes it depends on how much weight they want to lose. So what do you suggest?
Well, usually I talk to people about setting realistic goals when it comes to weight loss, but something that I'm really excited to share with everybody today is I attended a conference at USC at the first Global Fasting Conference, and, you know, people have evolved from humans that survive feast or famine, so this whole idea of fasting, people talk about intermittent fasting, water fasting, and what I'm really encouraging people to do is something called prolonged fasting, or fasting mimicking diet, where it mimics a 5-day fast, where you don't have to do a 5-day fast, but you can, you know, consume these low-calorie food products that were created by Dr. Valter Longo. It was based upon research that he did looking at longevity. And what they found is that people do lose weight and they have improvement in health outcomes. So what I'm recommending that people do is follow the Prolon FMD program once a month for 3 consecutive months, and follow that up with intermittent fasting, which is a period of eating during set hours of the day. So you would only eat either during 8, 10, or 12 hours of the day, because what's happened is that people are eating all the time. They're eating for 20 out of 24 hours of the day. And so
very often we hear that we have to eat frequently during the day. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and then you have to eat regularly. But you suggest fasting, which sometimes...
Well, I mean, you can eat breakfast, but what I'm suggesting is that if you eat, you only keep it to 8 or 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, or 12 hours a day. You can skip a meal, but then you get your calories in. And so, you know, what happens is this process called autophagy, where when you're doing this semi-fasting program, your body will knock out underperforming cells, and then they will create more stem cells, which helps the body to heal and repair from within. And, you know, again, I'm really excited about this work. I was excited to go to the conference. I'm doing some work with L-Nutra, with their Prolon product. I've used it myself, and I'm recommending it to my patients because I was so blown away by the science that's there.
It's one thing to do fasting. It's another thing to eat the right thing as well, because you can fast and eat fried chicken, and it's not going to give any results. So what do you suggest in terms of what people should eat?
People should be eating, I call it flexitarian, but people should be eating predominantly plant-based foods with small amounts of animal-sourced protein. That's what the research was looking at. You know, right now, high-protein diets are very popular, especially in the U.S., but even in my book, I speak about the fact that in other parts of the world, people use protein more for flavoring and not as this main course. And when you eat plant-based foods, you're getting phytonutrients. That's the plant pigments that help to, you know, prevent cancer, and they have other, you know, antioxidant properties. You're getting micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals. You're getting things like fiber, which we know are important for gut health and digestive health. So, you know, there's so many reasons why we should be eating more plants. And let's face it, they tend to be less expensive, too. So if you have a limited budget, then that's where I'd be spending my money.
Of course, and also we can never neglect the importance of exercising as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one recommendation I suggest to people is if you could take 5 minutes at work, every hour that you're at work, you go for a walk. You know, so if you're at work for 8 hours a day, you could accumulate 40 minutes of physical activity. You know, they say that sitting has become the new smoking. Even if you exercise for an hour a day, you need to keep yourself moving and be up and moving. We were designed to move.
Okay, Felicia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And that was Felicia Stoller. She's a registered dietitian nutritionist. Now, some 435,000 people died of malaria in 2017, most of them in sub-Saharan Africa, according to the World Health Organization. An entrepreneur in Burundi has developed a line of cosmetics that keep mosquitoes, which carry malaria, at bay. VOA's Arash Arabadashi has more.
In her garden in the capital of Burundi, Jeanette Carrera Kenyana is growing plants she uses in cosmetics. But this is more than just makeup. These moringa, jatropha, and catnip plants repel one of the world's deadliest insects.
Pour d'abord éviter, prévenir le paludisme qui est un frein.
The products are aimed at preventing malaria and finding ways to tackle it, because it has a huge impact on the development of our country. The products also allow me to create employment, to put value on our environment, and to provide natural products to prevent mosquito bites.
Karira Kenyana researched medicine and the environment while studying in Canada. She returned to Burundi in 2010 and experimented with different locally grown plants to develop a range of mosquito-repelling soaps.
I have not had malaria in years. I even use their products, like the soap and the oils, when my children are sick.
According to the American Chemical Society, plants like catnip contain ingredients that can reduce mosquito bites in test subjects by up to 91%. Karira Kenyana's customers cheer both the products and their source.
I liked the fact that they are all plant-based and made from locally sourced ingredients. I used to get malaria at least twice a year, but ever since I started using these products, I have not fallen sick in at least 3 years.
People have come to understand our message and have come to see that malaria is a serious disease and that we can fight against malaria with local products.
Karira Kenyana began her business with 3 employees. She now has more than 20. She says she plans to expand across Burundi and focus on rural areas where many people lack affordable health care and medicine. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News.
And that's our health report for today. To stay in touch, find me on Twitter at Lenore Mudu Vincent. Before adopting any diet, experts say you have to check with your medical provider.
I have to, though I need to do something, some diet. Thanks a lot, Lenore. Now be sure to watch Lenore Mudu's health reports every Tuesday and Thursday on Africa 54. Now, the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump is pushing hard to portray the southern border with Mexico as an imminent humanitarian and national security crisis to win support for border wall funding in a fight with lawmakers that has brought the country to an 18-day partial government shutdown. Trump is set to make that case to the nation in a televised address on Tuesday before traveling to the border on Thursday. Democratic leader Senator Chuck Schumer told an audience in New York on Monday that if Congress gives in to President Trump's demand for a border wall with Mexico, it would create disaster. Within the past 2 weeks, negotiations between the Democratic leadership and Trump administration have yielded no progress. There appears to be no end in sight for the shutdown that has halted 25% of U.S. government operations since December 22nd and forced some 800,000 federal employees to be furloughed or work without pay. Now, this is the first week of work for the new Congress in Washington, with former Somali refugee Ilhan Omar joining Palestinian-American Rashida Tlaib as the first Muslim woman to serve in the U.S. House of Representatives. VOA's Sahara Abdi Ahmed met with Congresswoman Omar in our Capitol Hill office and asked her about the U.S. travel ban.
So what we hope to do is introduce legislation that is going to eliminate the travel ban or the Muslim ban and make sure that we put provisions in there that prohibits that from happening in the future. There are a lot of opportunities for us to shift the narrative about what the immigration system is, but we also have to follow that with some action, and this new Congress is very excited about following through with some action.
Do you think that you have inspired the young generations, especially the Somali girls who were born and grow up here? And what message do you have the Somali girls who are having in the hijab and originally from Somalia?
Yeah, I mean, my message to the youth is threefold. You know, never lose hope. Always be optimistic about, you know, what the future holds, and know that your today does not determine your tomorrow. And oftentimes, young people are told, you know, you can be a future leader. And what I encourage young people is to see themselves as leaders today. They can be leaders in their classrooms, they could be leaders in their homes, they could be leaders in their neighborhoods. And that kind of leadership that you build over the years is what allows someone to make a journey to Congress. So I hope that my message is one that is received well by young people, and one that serves as an inspiration for them not to only dream but to dream big and know that anything is within their reach if they're willing to believe and work hard for.
But that is Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. She spoke with VOA's Sarah Abdi Ahmed. Welcome back to Africa 54. Here is what is trending. Las Vegas this week is getting transformed into one massive tech lab, with self-driving car companies cruising the streets and gadget makers unveiling their latest products, like glasses that help the blind to see and remote-controlled glove to help amputees pick things up. Impossible Food is launching the Impossible Burger 2.0 this week at the show. It is a plant-based burger born in the lab that sizzles and tastes like a real patty. New tech is also finding its way into underwear. SureTech's Pantyhorse is made of the same material used in bulletproof vests and climbing equipment. Meanwhile, in Burkina Faso, Akonyé moves across the stage, performing with the power, grace, and energy one would expect from a much younger performer. The 74-year-old Senegalese choreographer, known as the mother of African contemporary dance, still captivates audiences. This year's Dialogue de Corps in Burkina Faso's capital Ouagadougou explored the themes imaginary territories and immigration. Organizers say gatherings like this also provide opportunities for young dancers to understand and interact with older, more experienced choreographers. Well, and finally, bright colors were back on the Golden Globes red carpet on Sunday, with superstar Lady Gaga dressed in lavender, leading a trend for old-school glamour. Lady Gaga graced the red carpet in a Valentino lavender gown with puffed sleeves and a long train, with her blue dyed hair pulled into a tight bun, and wearing a stunning Tiffany diamond necklace. Last year's ceremony saw an all-black look on the red carpet as celebrities showed support for the Me Too movement that roiled Hollywood. This year saw blues, golds, reds, and lots of metallic, but several stars wore bracelets and pins in support of the Time's Up movement against sexual harassment and inequality in the workplace. People magazine's 2018 Sexiest Man Alive British actor Idris Elba chose a dark green and black tuxedo, and that's what's trending today. Well, and that's our show for today. Be sure to watch our show, Africa 54, on our website. Thanks a lot for watching, and have a good night from all of us here in Washington.